Dashavatar represents the 10 different incarnations of Vishnu which were taken to save the earth and its living beings from destruction. This video will narrate to you the story of the 9th incarnation of Vishnu. Born as Siddhārtha Gautama, Buddha is regarded as the founder of Buddhism and revered by most as a savior or the Enlightened One who rediscovered an ancient path to escape the cycle of birth and death and attain Nirvana. He was born in the northern India near the town of Kapilavastu to a ruler of an Indian tribe of Shakyas. His mother died 7 days after giving birth to him. It is said that 12 years before his birth, the Brahmins prophesied that he would become either a universal monarch or a great sage. To prevent him from becoming an ascetic, his father kept him within the confines of the palace. Gautama grew up in a princely luxury, shielded from the outside world, instructed by Brahmins, and trained in archery, swordsmanship, wrestling, swimming, and running. When he came to the right age, he was married to Gopa and had a son with her. He had everything, and yet it was not enough. Once in the streets of Kapilavastu, he encountered 3 simple things: a sick man, an old man, and a corpse being carried to the burning grounds. Nothing in his life of ease had prepared him for this experience. When his charioteer told him that all beings are subjected to sickness, old age, and death, he could not rest. As he returned to the palace, he passed a wandering sage walking peacefully along the road, wearing the robe and carrying the single bowl of a sadhu. In his restlessness, he decided to leave the palace in search of answers to the problem of suffering. After bidding his wife and child a silent farewell without waking them up, he rode to the edge of the forest. There, he cut his long hair with his sword and exchanged his fine clothes for the simple robes of an ascetic. With these actions, Siddhārtha Gautama joined a whole class of men who dropped out of Indian society to find liberation. There were a variety of methods and teachers, and Gautama investigated many: atheists, materialists, idealists, etc. Gautama finally settled down to work with 2 teachers. From Kalama, who had 300 disciples, he learned how to discipline his mind to enter the sphere of nothingness. But even though Kalama asked him to remain and teach as an equal, he recognized that this was not liberation and left. Next, Siddhārtha learned how to enter the concentration of mind, which is neither consciousness nor unconsciousness, from Udraka Ramaputra. But neither was this liberation, and Siddhārtha left his second teacher. For 6 years, Siddhārtha, along with 5 companions, practiced austerities and concentration. He drove himself mercilessly, eating only a single grain of rice a day, pitting mind against body. His ribs stuck through his wasted flesh, and he seemed more dead than alive. His 5 companions left him when he made the decision to take more substantial food and to abandon asceticism. Then Siddhārtha entered a village in search of food. There, a woman named Sujata offered him a dish of milk and a separate vessel of honey. His strength returned. Siddhārtha washed himself in the Niranjana river and then set off to the Bodhi tree. He spread a mat of kusha grass underneath, crossed his leg, and sat. He sat, having listened to all the teachers, studied all the sacred texts, and tried all the methods. Now there was nothing to rely on, no one to turn to, nowhere to go. He sat solid and unmoving and determined as a mountain until finally, after 6 days, his eyes opened on the rising morning star, and so it is said that he had his realization and found what he was looking for. Therefore, there was nothing to attain, and no longer any struggle to attain it. For 7 weeks, he enjoyed the freedom and tranquility of liberation. At first, he had no interest to speak about his realization. He felt it would be too difficult for most people to understand. But according to a legend, Lord Brahma, the creator, requested the Awakened One to spread his teachings. The first noble truth of Buddha stated that all life, all existence is characterized by dukkha. The Sanskrit word dukkha means suffering, pain, and unsatisfactoriness. Even moments of happiness have a way of turning into pain when we hold on to them for longer. Dukkha is noble, and it is the ultimate truth. For the next 49 years, Buddha walked through the villages and towns of India, speaking in vernacular, using common figures of speech that everybody could understand. He taught a villager to practice mindfulness while drawing water from a well. Once, when a disheartened mother asked him to heal her dead child that she was carrying in her arms, he did not perform a miracle, but instead instructed her to bring him a mustard seed from a house where no one had ever died. She returned from her search without the seed, but with the knowledge that death is universal. As Buddha's fame spread, kings and other wealthy patrons donated parks and gardens for retreats. The Buddha accepted these, but he continued to live as he had ever since his 29th year, as a wandering sadhu, begging his own meal, spending his days in meditation. Only now there was one difference. Almost every day, after his noon meal, the Buddha taught and preached his teachings. The Buddha died in the town of Kushinagara at the age of 80. Some of the assembled monks were dejected, but the Buddha, lying on his side, with his head resting on his right hand, reminded them that everything is impermanent and advised them to take refuge in themselves and the Dharma, the teaching.